Welcome back to Chronically Joyful. We are live today from Washington, D.C. I am here on a work trip and figured no time like the present to record when I have a different background. Today's topic is actually one that a new friend who popped into my Instagram DMs, Chelsea, brought to my attention of what would I tell myself if I was just diagnosed today? And I thought it was a really, really thoughtful subject matter. I know that I'm a little bit short on time this morning. I have activities planned for this leadership conference here today, so I will most likely end up pausing this recording and then wearing a totally different outfit later, so stay tuned. I'm also trying not to be obnoxious. It is 9 o'clock in the morning now, so it's like a normal, decent human hour to be making noise. So yeah, I digress. What advice would I give myself now? And I think I also would like to touch on traveling with having MS too, considering I'm clearly not in my house. So, what better time than the present to talk about things like that? So, I would love to talk about some of the things that I brought with me to kind of counterbalance if I start to feel bad or all of those types of things. So I'm actually pretty excited to talk about all of these things now in an active moment where it's relevant. Okay, so jumping into the little apothecary that I have in front of me right now, important things that I always take with me when I travel. Number one, I have a baggie on the table behind me that is actually visible in this frame that is filled to the tippy top with water bottles. Having had kidney failure once before, I tried not to have that ever happen again, and it's worked to date, knock on whatever material this desk is made of. In tandem with that, too, I'm always stocked to the tippy top with seltzer, too. Hydrate, 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 hydrate. I needed to lean forward and not have my hair go into my coffee, which I will dramatically sip now. Yes, I am that person that uses the hotel coffee that is provided to me. It's fine. Okay. So in my little apothecary here, I've got this magnesium spray, which if you have never heard of this magnesium spray, whenever I'm trying to figure out like where the pain comes from that works with this, and I still have yet to figure that out fully, but like an example, I went to the gym before coming on this trip and I knew I was going to be maybe going to the hotel gym here. This place is crazy big, so the odds of me doing that are actually getting lower and lower the longer that I'm here. With that in mind, I'm incredibly sore. This is a godsend. I spray it on my sore muscles, aches and pains that I experience with the MS also. It works tremendously well, and whether or not you believe it's placebo effect is amazing too. So even if you're like, it's magnesium spray, that makes no sense, it shouldn't work, it does for me. So I'm gonna just leave this here so you can capture brands or whatever. No, this is not paid advertising. This actually came in the baggie that's behind me from a good friend, Rachel, in a chronic illness like goodie bag that I won, and it's amazing, and I never heard of this before. So number one, magnesium spray. Number two, I have this little jar of Tiger Balm. What I've been predominantly using this for, I've got a bone spur on the tippy top of my hand that normally for years never bothered me, and in recent months is aching all the freaking time. And it's just like, think of this almost like a better, stronger Bengay. And I want to just bring this really close because I realize that this isn't a super easy, common to find brand, but I love this stuff. I recommended it to my mom who suffers from fibromyalgia too, and she said that it works like a charm. So one more time, Tiger Balm. Yes. With that, I just have standard ibuprofen. I am blessed where if I experience headaches, I'm fortunate enough that no matter what it is, Tylenol, ibuprofen, Aleve, Advil, all of it works for me, where my sister's a little bit less fortunate in that department. She suffers from migraines and nothing works for her. So I just always have these guys in case I get a headache in the midst of things or just an onset of pain that I can't really control. I'm not going to show this next one, but I do have a prescription for 10 milligrams of Adderall that lasts me literally like an entire year. I barely take it, but I'm most likely going to end up taking it on this trip at some point, only for the fact that it's really long days. Like my day today is going to start at 9:30 and is probably going to go until like 9:30. I'm hoping not that long. Pray for me. But I like to look at that one more so as a tool than something I'm highly dependent on in comparison to. Like every person I talk to these days is like, I would die without my Adderall, but I'm definitely not that person. And on the days that I do take it, and if you are also taking a script for it, please, 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 again, drink your water. It destroys any semblance of hydration within your body. So, like, just take that with a grain of salt. And I think the only other thing that I have readily available to me right now, I'm a sneaker girl. I will never be seen in heels. And if I ever have to wear heels, I still have these in a baggie somewhere. It is practical. And my feet hurt all the time, whether or not that's MS related or not. I still haven't figured that out, but please just wear comfortable footwear, which these are on their last leg. If anything, I need inserts just because they're flat and I've got arches that are taller than the Golden Gate Bridge. The only other practice that I have continued on this trip, I arrived here yesterday, so it hasn't been that long, is maintaining my meditation practice in the morning. And I do start every single day with a journal practice. I've got 2 with me out of my like 14 that I normally haven't used, but just making sure I intentionally find time, in this case, probably in the mornings and in the evenings before I fall asleep, to find stillness and breathe and just willingly accept that things tend to work out better than we expect, and life continues to provide that proof to me every single day. So this is just the way that I choose to live. That is where I'm going to cut this for the morning. I will see you all later when I come back to talk about the advice that I would give myself as a newly diagnosed person today after living with this for the last 11 and a half years. So I'll see you later. Hello, friends. I am back. And I am back with you now after a much needed shower in my hotel room and taking myself on a solo date down to the hotel bar where I made great friends. I met a man named Bart, who is an older gentleman who runs a beautiful business, creating and selling brooms and mops and the like for the handicapped and folks in prison, which I think is a very unique niche. And it was such a joy to talk to him to learn about all the things he's doing, because at this hotel, I will share, there is a blind person convention, which I resonate with so deeply, where like I've been so creepy with the people here, where with their sticks, I've been getting really close, like, what brand are you using? Because for me personally, in my MS journey, a lot of my symptoms have resonated or jived with blindness and being hard of sight and being hard of hearing, and just like it just, I have met so many really interesting people at this place. I have also met other folks at the same conference I'm at, in the room that I'm in, where just like I had wonderful experiences that made me feel like home, because the folks that I have met tonight have reminded me so much of my best friend in the entire world. And I felt seen and safe and all of the good things. So I am here with you now, back from earlier, to talk about what I would tell myself in the scenario of if I was diagnosed today. That is different from what I knew back then, which 11 and a half years ago, like I know so much more now. So I'm so excited to dive into this topic today. The number one thing I would tell myself is to be the biggest advocate in my care, where, shoot, let me do the math right here with you all right now. I was diagnosed in Potsdam, New York. They sent me to Fletcher Allen. I saw Dr. Wahid for a period of time. I left Potsdam when I graduated college, and I saw Dr. Gudesplat in Long Island. I saw him for a period of time, and he was actually the most interesting doctor I've had to date, where he was really involved in clinical studies. So I did what was called neurotracks. If you have ever done neurotracks, please comment on this video below, just because I've never heard of it since leaving Long Island. He has retired since, and he was such an interesting practitioner and like really innovative to the world of MS, where I would be so interested if anyone else has ever experienced that before, because it broke my brain. What neurotracks was sitting in a room and doing testing. And I'm so sorry that I'm playing with my hair so much. It just bothers me that I got a botched haircut in August of 2025 and it's like still bobo. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop doing that now. I'm not going to touch it anymore. But I would basically sit in a room, and there were multiple phases of this test where I would sit in front of a computer, and it would be various tests, and I'm just doing it out of anxiety and trying to remember. I'm so sorry. One that comes to mind, like it would be, I would say equivalent to like Capital One testing when you try to test into a large corporation like that. It is very competitive and it is very challenging, where they would put like a word problem like this and give you 35 seconds to be like, what's the answer? It was very much like that. But for like neuroplasticity kind of testing. So they would give like a point of view picture, and it would be like, what point of view matches where you're standing based on this description? And it would give you like 4 different points of view based on a very short description, and you would have 30 seconds to answer that. That is one of the examples. Another example would be like a sentence where it would be like, the color blue shows up in this sentence 4 times, and like the word blue would be red, and it would show up like 5 times. And you would have like 10 seconds to answer that and be like, oh, was the word blue actually blue, or was it red? And how many times did it actually show up? And it would be fast like that. It was really stressful, where like I would test against myself and be like, holy baloney, am I actually doing the thing correctly? And like it was always that, combined with sitting in a room. And I'll never forget this either. I don't think this was called neurotracks. This was called something else, but it was really interesting, where like I would sit in a room and it would be like an eye test when you go to the eye doctor, but it wouldn't be the letters. It would be something else. And like he would put these I don't even know what they're called, like these things on my head, and they would be gelled, and like I would have a bunch of them. I would look like a science experiment, and it would just like measure my brain patterns as I responded to the prompts. And sometimes it was letters, and other times, most of the time, it was like a checkerboard. And it was like, where's the red dot? Or it would just be like, stay silent and just focus your eyeballs on the red dot on this checkerboard background. And like it would measure your brain activity while you were doing that. And it was just both stressful and enlightening, because like it was just like I always felt really competitive to this day. Like even my neurology tests now, where I go into VCU and there's a test that's like there's 16 pegs on a board, and they timed me and like how fast with each hand I could pull the pegs out and then put them back in, which like I'm ambidextrous, so I feel like I have an advantage. And I'm sorry if that was a lot for you to watch me do. But it was very similar to that, where I'm like, I'm competitive to myself at heart. I'm not a competitive person by nature. For other folks, I'm just like, do what you're gonna do. But for myself, I'm like, let me beat my personal score and see if I can do better. And I remember going into these tests just being like, I'm going to kick booty and like beat my last score in whatever test I'm doing right now. And It was wild. Coming back to the main point of like being your personal advocate, Dr. Gudesblatt was really interesting, and I'm really honored to have been his patient just because I didn't see him very often. He was really in high demand because he was so invested in the clinical studies of things. However, what he did for me was my appointments with him would be like 2 hours. He would sit with me and just be like, "How are you feeling? Why do you feel that way? Let's unpack this." And it was like a time investment. And I just felt really seen in those moments where continuing on my journey. So it is Potsdam diagnosis, Dr. Wahid in Vermont, Dr. Gudesblatt, Long Island, coming to Virginia, Dr. Zukas in VCU first, who was also heavily involved in clinical studies, who ended up getting reassigned to clinical studies and was just like, "I'm sorry, I'm not interested in being patient facing. I want to work on the clinical side of things," which I totally respect. From there, I ended up going to Bon Secours, which I'm not here to slander anyone's brand, but as an MS patient, don't go to Bon Secours if you live in Virginia. I'm going to leave it there. And I saw Dr. Ransom, who was amazing. She was amazing, but very busy. So I immediately got deferred to her NP doctor, or she wasn't a doctor, but Erica Davis was her NP, who I loved. Erica was the main reason I started Mavenclad, and she was amazing, and I loved her. And then she got reassigned to the hospital indefinitely. And then I saw someone else who I don't even remember their name because it was so short. And then he got reassigned to the hospital indefinitely. And then I saw Dr. Ransom full time, who is the doctor that called me that was like, "You must go on a regimented Medrol, yeah, like your brain is exploding right now." And I ran a 5K that day, and I had Dr. Ransom laughing, and she was like, "I don't know, we're gonna just do the thing." She was amazing. That's 7 neurologists, by the way, if you can't tell based on my fingies. To which Dr. Ransom got reassigned to the hospital indefinitely. Dramatic hair flip. And I got assigned, I'm not going to name him because I have such a visceral reaction, to neurologist number 8, who was in Bon Secours, who was not a referral. It just, I ended up in his care, and this was the doctor that told me I was going to die. And the same doctor that was like, "You can get prescribed opiates. You have MS. You need pain control. I have a chronic illness, not a terminal illness. Thank you very much. I should never be prescribed opiates." So that is 8 neurologists right here. Because of neurologist number 8, who I still will not name in this video, based on privacy and respect of people's private lives, I made the decision personally to fire neurologist number 8, and I ended up transitioning back to VCU, where I had originally moved to Virginia, and I saw Dr. Zukas, and it was okay. Like, it wasn't bad, it wasn't great, it was just neutral, because I'm a really easy MS patient. My stuff is really, I guess I'll say, managed, where I usually walk into the office and I'm like, "I feel great, it's totally fine," up until I didn't. And neurologist number 8 was the one that experienced it the most, where I was like, "I don't feel okay. I'm dying. What do you recommend I do?" And he was the person that was like, "Oh, you should do a 3rd round of Mavenclad," which I will go into my medication journey, and I 100% will say I don't recommend ever doing a 3rd round of Mavenclad, ever. Ever. And that is for a slew of reasons, including the fact that it's only FDA approved for the first 2 cycles. And after that, you cannot legally speak to nursing staff. So if you go off of it for a period of time and you forget what you're doing, you're pretty much screwed, which is the experience that I had. So neurologist number 8, really influenced me in the sense where 2024, I was unmedicated the entire year, and it was the hardest year I ever faced, where I was deeply depressed. I had the most symptoms. That's the year I experienced optic neuritis, diplopia, all at the same time. I couldn't see, I couldn't drive, I was moving, I was getting married, I was doing all of the really hard things at the same time, and it just all exploded into a kerfuffle of madness, I guess is what I'll call it. So we're up to neurologist number 8. I make the decision based on a recommendation of my lovely friend Liz, who I adore, and I really respect her opinion. And she's lived in Virginia longer than I have. She pointed me in the direction of VCU for Dr. O, who is the neurologist that I see today. And I love Dr. O deeply, where he's really he also takes time with his patients, kind of like Dr. Gudesblatt did with me. So it's like when I go in there, I know I'm going to spend at least 2 hours, whether it's in the waiting room, which was my experience last time, or doing testing. So like he does my reflex testing, my peg testing. I was talking about how fast I walk. Like I'm competitive with myself. I am originally from Long Island, New York, so my pace for walking is very fast. If I'm going somewhere, I have a goal. I'm going to that thing. Where, like, a fun fact about Catherine is my pet peeve is slow walkers. Figure out where you're going and get the hell out of my way. Just throwing it out there point blank. Thank you. But I love Dr. O. He takes time with me, and I really, really appreciate that. I don't love exactly how the office is set up. It's in downtown Richmond. It is very challenging parking. It's in a parking garage. That's totally fine. I don't care about that, but it's downtown. And I now block an hour to get to my appointments because traffic is unpredictable on Highway 95, and also going through a parking garage where I refuse to valet park, like at this hotel. I arrived yesterday and I'm in my 2014 Chevy Cruze, which like needs an oil change. It's breaking down. Like I need work done to this car. It has a check engine light problem, which is a problem with the car. For anyone watching this who has a 2014 stripped down version of a Chevy Cruze, I see you. And it's a thing that was never recalled, but like if you Google it, everyone knows about it. So my check engine light just is on all the time for things that I have replaced. It's a catalytic converter code. I've replaced that, the O2 sensors. I've done everything over the last like 8 years that I've had this car. Lo and behold, it's still a thing. So like my car's exploding right now, and I pulled up to this hotel in the heart of DC. Like I've never been in this area, and it was very overwhelming, and brought out my New York, where I was like, how are we driving? Oh my God, everyone's insane. Brought out a side of me that I haven't seen in a while. And I pull into this hotel and I'm like, okay, where do I go? And they're like, no, we only have valet parking that is $75 a day. I am blessed where my company is paying for this trip, so I'm not worried about the cost as much as I'm like, you want to valet park my piece of crap car that has like granola bar wrappers from my drive here on the ground and like 14 half drink seltzers in here. You want to valet park this? Okay, that's fine. Like, they were like, ma'am, if you need your car, just let us know. And I'm like, no, you can keep it for the next 4 days. But like, you really want to valet park this freaking Chevy Cruze? Like, I have very strong feelings about this. I digress. Having gone through 8 neurologists over the last 11 and a half years, what I have learned is that people are people. Doctors are going to feel a certain way about things. You as a patient are going to feel a certain way about things. And at the end of the day, the person that gets the final say in your care is you. What I wish I knew, shoot, today it's 2026 in 2023. So I'm going to say 3 years ago when I was with neurologist number 8, who I shall not be named. I'm going to call him Lord Voldemort in this video. When I was under his care, what I wish I knew at that time was that I had the final say. So when he recommended I do a 3rd round of Mavenclad, I wish I said no. Because it didn't hurt me. Let me make that abundantly clear. It didn't hurt me physically, mentally, any of that. Maybe mentally, actually. It didn't hurt me physically. However, having been off of medication for an entire year and having been told, like, oh, try this 3rd cycle of this med, and not remembering how to do it, it's a very particular way of taking the medication. It's really important, too. Like, it makes you immunodeficient for the time being. On Ocrevus, I am now immunocompromised because it just depletes my immune system. It doesn't come back. Not Ocrevus, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Mavenclad depleted my immune system for a period of time, but it came back over a period of time, and that is not the case with Ocrevus. So I am immunocompromised now, where, like, I don't touch door handles. I don't mess around. Your girl doesn't get sick. I'm not trying to. Or Mavenclad, it was like after 30 days, I'd be like, all right, like I can exist and not worry about it. But I wish I didn't do it. It was too hard. Where like I hadn't taken it for such a period of time that it was really scary. And my neurologist who recommended it to me was like, I don't know. I've never prescribed this to someone before. And I've also never seen a patient fail on this so fast before you. That felt really good. Moving on. You are your biggest advocate. You make the final decisions as the patient. I don't care what your doctor tells you because you know what? They're people too, and they're not always right. So just do you and trust yourself through everything. Something really big I would also tell myself is that it really does get better. It really gets better. 11 and a half years later, when I was first diagnosed, I could barely walk. I couldn't write. I would I would practice on a sticky note writing the sentence, "Pooping ponies are prancing every day." And it would be gibberish. It would be like worse than a kindergartner learning how to write. And it was so discouraging. And that semester in college, I had an accommodation where I could type, and I'm so happy to talk about that too, because that didn't go as well as you would imagine, and I almost opened a lawsuit, and I might have talked about this before. But like to lose motor function, your capacity to walk, your ability to write, everything at the same time when you're still a kid. Like I was 20 years old. You don't know that it's going to get better. And with an MS diagnosis, you never know it's going to get better. You're just handed what you're handed, and it's like, best of luck. Here's a medication we think's going to work, but it might not. Like that's the level of support that is provided. And what I want to tell all of you right now, it does get better. It really does. Even if not physically, you will build a resilience that is incomparable to most people you know. Where in your waking life, you're going to meet people who have not been through very much, but they are just in a pity party. And it's like, woe is me, I'm experiencing this thing. And you're going to look at them and you're just going to be like, your feelings are valid. Thanks for sharing. And you're just going to stand there and be like, you have no idea what I have faced or what I might face in the future. And that's okay. And I'm here in this video right now to tell you it's going to be okay. It gets better. I really, really mean that. And the only reason that I feel that way is because I really strongly believe in mind over matter, which sounds like such crap. It really does. But it's really true. Where like for me personally, and I can only speak to myself, I cannot speak to any of you lovely humans or anyone else who has MS. I believe that the mental fortitude that I possess and my strong beliefs in this life and my obnoxious optimism have led me this far, where not only does it get better, but mind over matter, where I was told I would never run again. I was told I would be in a wheelchair by 35. I was told so many things that I don't believe. I don't believe them for a second. I'm 31. I will not be in a wheelchair by 35. Are you kidding me? I'm like training to run 10Ks now because I learned I could. And like I have no doubt that I can, and I can do these things, and so can you. So whenever a practitioner has the gusto to look you in the eye and say, "This is the trajectory that you're on," look at them and you're going to do this. And I'm sorry, YouTube, if you're going to cancel me for that. I don't know the rules still, but like, no, that's absolute nonsense. You're going to be okay. As long as you think that you're going to be okay. I promise. And I keep my promises. I'm accountable to a fault. I have had so much happen in the last year. The one thing I can say I am is accountable. One thing I would also tell myself is that I am not less than because of my MS. I had a real life experience where I was like casually seeing someone when I lived in New York for a period of time, and it went south. But I trusted this person, and I was at work and I was just like, "Hey, can you help me like open my water bottle? I'm having a weekday." And he took that and ran with it. It was just like, "You're so needy. You're weak. This is ridiculous that you're asking this of me. It's insane." And like gaslit me in front of my colleagues, my friends, like so many different people. It was so embarrassing, but also not embarrassing because I wasn't wrong. I asked for help because I needed it, and he was the butthole that was like, and it taught me that people are going to do what people are going to do, and it comes down to our responses to how they are for us and how we manage it. So you are not less than because of a diagnosis, and you never will be. You're still you. You are still you. You're just different in the best way, in my opinion. I think it makes us saucy. Like, it's unpredictable to a degree that's like, ooh, what's today gonna be like? Am I gonna wake up and be like super fatigued and like just riding on 17 cups of coffee, which is me today? I drank way too much coffee, which is why I'm recording this at 11:55 p.m. and have to be up at a dumb hour tomorrow, but it's totally fine. You're gonna be okay. I promise. Something else that I would tell myself is that I am still capable of doing all of the things I was told I wouldn't be able to do 11 and a half years ago. I respect that your practitioners are probably looking at you like, here's what to expect. We're here to support you. It's going to be really hard. But I, Kat Weston, Chronically Joyful, I'm here to tell you they're lying. They're lying. As long as you have the mental fortitude to believe that they're lying. Where I was told I'd be in a wheelchair by 35. I would never run again. My quality of life is going to suffer. I'm going to be on heavy duty medication for the rest of my life, and I probably won't be able to work by the time I'm 47. 47 also? Like, who came up with that age? Like, what? I was told all of these things at 20 years old. And it was almost, it felt like a death sentence. And it wasn't. It wasn't. Because I'm still here. I work a full-time job. I'm running 10Ks in my spare time. I am doing the things that I was told I would never be able to do. And I'm doing it with a smile on my face. And I'm doing it easily. It's not always easy, believe me. Like running 10Ks in the summertime, I've got really bad foot drop and like I fell. I'm sure many of you have heard at this point. Like I fell on concrete and I have bloody knees to this day. That like I'm still trying to like fix the scars for. Worth it. Worth it. I was told I wouldn't be able to do it. Watch me. It's my favorite thing to say, and it should be your favorite thing to say too. And my last point in this very drawn out video that has 2 clips that I have no idea how long this is at this point is just people are going to make assumptions about you and they're going to judge you without knowing your story. And that's okay. It's okay. MS is an invisible illness where, for me, my favorites are I don't have a handicap sticker. I don't park in handicapped spaces. But oftentimes, if I'm walking, I prefer to use hiking poles over a standard cane or mobility aid that most people use. And when I do that, people have very odd reactions. And that's okay. I took it personally at first when I had those weird reactions. Like I had somebody at work grab my hiking pole and like pretend to ski with it and be like, "Where are we going on vacation?" It was very strange and she meant no harm by that. And it's like it took me processing to get to this point to be like, she meant nothing by that. I'm not going to hold it against this person. But it was weird. It was weird. It's a weird thing to navigate and then have other people who witnessed it turn to me and be like, "You're taking it too personally. That's ridiculous." Like, no, I'm allowed to feel weird about that. It's a weird thing for someone to do. And it's inappropriate. I digress. People are gonna say things. What the F? What is happening? What is happening? Ignore limit. Hello? Okay. Sorry if that was in the video. My computer was like, time limit in the middle of this. I digress. People are going to do weird things. And they're going to say weird things. And they're going to make you feel ostracized. And they're going to make you feel different or less than. And it's okay to feel that at first. But it comes down to how you respond to that after. Don't harbor that. Don't hold on to it and be like, "Oh my God, I have MS in this example. I am less than I should be if I didn't have this illness that I didn't ask for and it was just given to me." Never do that. You didn't do anything to deserve this. You did nothing to onset this, according to science today. For me personally, being from Long Island, I'm like, it's because I drank the water. I don't know. No one knows. Never take it and be like, "I did this to myself, so I deserve this." You don't. You don't. And you should never feel otherwise. You didn't do this to yourself. No one did this to themselves. No matter what chronic illness you have, no one did this to themselves. It's an incurable illness that I personally believe I am going to solve energetically. I sound crazy every time I say this, but it's for any anime nerds out there who love Naruto, that's me. He wanted to become Hokage and said, "I'm going to do this thing. Watch me do it." And everyone laughed at him and said, "No, you're not. You're ridiculous. I am Naruto. I'm going to fix this. And then I'm going to teach the rest of you how to do it." That is my mission on this planet because no one deserves this. I wouldn't wish MS on my worst enemy. And I've had people in my life get diagnosed with progressive MS who have done wrong by the people I love. And I still wish they didn't have it. It's not something I would wish on my worst enemy. and certainly not the wonderful humans I've had the opportunity to connect with through these platforms. So that is the gist of this video. It has gone on for a very long time. I'm interested to see the total amount of time between video number 1 this morning and then video number 2 after I took a shower and like lived my life today. So I hope that the things that I would have told myself almost 12 years ago help you if you're newly diagnosed, or even if you're not newly diagnosed. I hope that you feel seen. That is the gist of this channel and the goal. So thank you for visiting Chronically Joyful. I am so grateful to have you every single day. Shout out to my 11 subscribers. You have no idea how excited I am to have you. And thank you for joining me in DC. This is important enough to me that I brought this extra computer to record this video because it meant a lot to me. So may the light in me find the light within you. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. I love you all.